Hi, book 2, welcome to Jaggie's Living Corner. I am Jaggie, and as you can see, I got my latest thrift book purchases. So, I thought I would open these in front of the camera and also show some of my latest purchases from the last month. And one of them, I'm not sure, I might have already showed it to you. But I don't remember. So, but let me first open these. So, this was a case where, like, after reading Gates of Rome, the first book in the Emperor series, and then also reading Mary Beard's SPQR, I've come to realize I really like Roman history. I've been really interested, and I've talked to my dad about Roman history before. Like, we've talked about Caligula, now he's really the craziest one, and stuff like that. And I read Julius Caesar by Shakespeare in high school, and I really enjoyed that. Although I really liked my teacher, might have had a small crush on him at the time, so that really helped. So these are books that I heard about from on Steve Donahue's channel. Well, one of them I know for sure I heard about. I remember hearing about this. The other one, I don't know if I had heard about it on this channel or not. I don't remember. So I looked for them on Thrift Books, and I also looked on Amazon because sometimes Amazon is cheaper. So I normally have scissors to do this, but I don't want to get up in the middle of filming. I feel like I have a bad habit of doing that. Where there's things I'm missing, although I might have to do that either way. As you can tell, it's my first time doing this. Opening. Okay, let me get the scissors. I'll be right back. Got my scissors. Unfortunately, these are the cheap kind that you get that you put in your, your bag at school. But these are the ones I got in my room. So, if I wanted to get any others, I would have to go downstairs. But these work. So, okay. So let's see. So let's see. All right. So this is actually not the one I was hoping I'd get, but that's okay. This is a Penguin Classic Edition. It's the right size, at least. Like I said, I'm trying to get away from mass market. So actually, I think this is the first non-mass market I've got of this particular edition, because I have a lot of mass markets with this older Penguin, like Penguin Classics edition. Most of my regular size books are regular. Most of my Penguin Classics that are this size are usually the other ones, the ones that are black. But anyway, so yeah, this is the one I had heard about via Steve Donahue. He has the other one. I mean, unfortunately, that's what's going on with this used bookstore. Actually, like, I saw a review that kind of made me nervous, but I was like, I haven't had any bad experiences with thrift books yet. Where he talked about how he was supposed to get the first 3 volumes of this, the history of the decline and fall of the Roman Empire, because of course there's a lot of volumes, and he was disappointed that he says he only got the one volume, and he only got he didn't get the one he wanted. And my first thought is like, well, that's what's gonna happen with this kind of, when you're buying things like this on at a used bookstore, online, especially, like, it, like, at least with you, like a actual physical store that you can go to, you can at least look at the books. But when you buy online, there's no guarantee you're going to get the exact one you want. You're not going to get the exact one that they show you. But so far, like I said, I haven't had as many problems. I've been perfectly content with the copies I got. And I've never felt the need to, message them and be like, this is not the one I wanted. But this is, like the title implies, the history and decline, the decline and fall of the Roman Empire. And let's see what it says on the back. Okay, Edward Gibbon's Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire compresses 13 turbulent centuries into an epic narrative shot through with insight, irony, and incisive character analysis. Famously skeptical about Christianity, unexpectedly sympathetic to the barbarian invaders by the Byzantine Empire, constantly aware how political leaders often achieve the exact opposite of what they intend. Gibbon was alert to both the broad pattern of events and the significant revealing detail attacked for its enlightened views on politics, sexuality, and religion. The first volume was nonetheless soon to be found on every table, and was widely acclaimed for the elegance of its prose. Gripping, powerfully intelligent, and wonderfully entertaining, it is the greatest work of history in the English language and ranks as one of the literary masterpieces of its age. And this is an abridged version with an introduction by David Wormsley. So, which is fine by me. I mean, So the other thing you're going to run into is that a potential, you can tell. I don't know if you can tell. It doesn't. I don't know if you can. Yeah, I think you can tell a little bit that potential. That you gotta be careful with used books. They might potentially. And in fact, this one also has that little thing too, which I don't know. Let me look. Let me see if there's anything wrong on it. Nope, it's just those little stickies someone saved. So I would have to see if there's possibility of getting the other volumes, unless this is just of all the volumes. I could probably figure that out via Steve Donahue's channel. He'll probably talk about it in that one. I'll have to look, but so yep, there's that one. Now let's open the other one. So now let's open this one, which is considerably thinner, which I'm surprised by. I'm surprised that it's actually... We have Suetonius, The Lives of Caesars, and the translation is by Catherine Edwards. I think I said the translation. Okay, so again, another. So again, I've talked about a little bit of the different Caesars and everything, and you have. And I've heard, like I said, from reading The Gates of Rome and then reading Mary Beard's book, SPQR, it's definitely my knowledge is very limited, basically. So, and this hopefully will help. Okay, so... Oh, it was 23. I thought he was stabbed 13 times. So yeah, actually, according to this quote that I guess is in the book, so it was that he was stabbed 23 times, saying nothing, and he landing on a merely single groan in the first blow. Though some people relate that when Marcus Brutus came at him, he said in Greek, "You too, my son?" Which actually I guess I didn't know. I was going my knowledge came from that play that Julius Caesar wrote. It says "Et tu, Brute," "You too, Brutus." But I don't think it was 100%. According to Mary Beard's book, in this quote, it wasn't actually 100% accurate. That quote. So let's see. I'm going to read this one as well. Suetonius' graphic account of the death of Julius Caesar is only one of the many extraordinary scenes in the lives of Caesars. A series of 12 biographies of Roman emperors, beginning with Julius Caesar and ending with Domitian, as a fund of fascinating, often outrageous anecdotes. Suetonius' work is unrivaled. Caligula's plan to make his horse consul, Nero singing with Roman burns, tales of adultery, perversion, and murder. Every vice is exposed and recorded. Less celebrated, but equally significant, are the edifying descriptions of Augustus' splendid redevelopment of the city of Rome, Titus' decision to put the state before his love for Bernice. Suetonius' accounts of the achievements and eccentricities of the emperors, as well as being highly entertaining, give us valuable insights into the exercise of imperial power in ancient Rome. This new translation sets the lives in the literary and political context in which they were written. So this is going to be a fun read. I think it is true that sometimes fiction, real life is stranger than fiction. That's the quote. I can't remember the quote. Okay, so those are there's books purchased, my latest ones. Now, let me tell you about some of the ones that I've got in the past. Back in February. Although I want to say I have told about these books before, so here they are. Okay, first we have, I think I have talked about Trader's Blade before. I can't remember. The thing is, I don't like watching myself in these videos, so I don't necessarily remember ones I've talked about. So this is Trader's Blade by Sebastian de Castell. This is the first book in the Great Coat series. And it's basically, you have the king was murdered. The king in this world was murdered, and he originally had these soldiers called the Great Coats who would fight for him, and when he dies, they are disbanded. But then one of them discovers that their king has one last mission for them, and he gathers a group of the remaining Great Coats to come together for this last mission. And I think last time what I did was I just read the back when I talked about the last time. And I've heard a lot about this, a lot from Alan from the Library of Alexandria, and I was just thinking, I feel like this would be a great book to read with the Musketeers, the Three Musketeers, because I feel like it has a similar feel to it, except for the king wasn't murdered in that, but it has not been murdered in that book. Although I think there's plots of him being assassinated in that one. I'm not, at least going by that movie adaptations of the Three Musketeers. So there's that one. Like I said, I think I might have already talked about this one. I'm not 100% sure though. And then we have the first book in the Towers of Babel series, the Sunlight Ascendant. And our main character, Thomas Sunlight, brings his new bride to this infamous Tower of Babel. That each level of the tower has a different world in it, and they decide to go there for their honeymoon. But she gets lost, and he has to go find her. So he has to go through every level to find her. So, and I think he's, from what I've heard about his character, he's pretty much a nerd who's not an adventurer type. So it makes him a more relatable main character. You know, a character that I imagine people get really frustrated with. But I always thought the concept of this book was so intriguing and interesting. The idea of these whole worlds in in each level, and exploring it. Like, now when I thought about the tower, I kept picturing it looking like the Tower of Pisa in Italy. For some reason, that's what I was picturing. Of course, it's not the only tower. I know there's also, you know, the Empire State Building. You know, there's a lot of towers. In fact, the most recent one I remember that comes to mind is the tower right on the border of North and South Carolina. If you ever been to South Carolina, in between North and South Carolina, there is the south of the border that was created, I want to say, in the 50s. And, you know, I have family in South Carolina, so that tower, it's a watchtower type thing, and we always pass through that. And for some reason, it used to give me the creeps. That giant tower. It has a Mexican theme, and it's basically a tower where you can, there's stairs or an elevator. There's an arcade underneath at the bottom on the ground, and there's a giant sombrero up at the top where you can go in there and look. And I actually did not know a lot about it, because we never really stopped there. We didn't stay there because it's a truck stop, so there's all these hotels and a couple of places to eat, and there's a souvenir shop, and there's a carnival and a campground as well for RVs and stuff. So, but we never stopped there, And my parents, when I was a baby, I liked it, but as I got a little bit older, for some reason, it freaked me out. And at night, it lights up. The hat, as I called it, will light up at night. And, for some reason, it gave me the creeps as I got a little bit older. But that's the other tower I always think of. That's another tower I've been thinking about a lot lately. Because I actually decided one day, I've never really looked up to see if there was a website for it. And I looked at the website on the history and what's at the south of the border. But yeah, so a little anecdote about me and towers. So I just think the concept is cool, and I like the idea of the type of how the main character is described, his personality, and I feel like it's a character you don't see that often. Like, most of the time you see a lot of characters like Han Solo or Rick O'Connell from The Mummy. That's those kind of hero type characters. I feel like you get that a lot more than guys that are kind of nerdy and absent-minded, just not very good at not heroes, not good at being a hero. So I'm confused. I want to jump into this, but I feel like I should get to Trader's Blade first, which I am sure I'll love. I'm going to enjoy that. I guarantee you I will. But whenever I get a new book, I'm more excited to read that one. So at the moment, I'm kind of more intrigued by this, but I feel like I should get to this one first. Trader's Blade. Okay, so next one I've been trying to get all of the Bronte sisters' works. Now I have to look and see if I can get access to their poems, because I think both Anne and Emily were also poets and wrote poetry. So I want to see if I can get a collection of bind-up of their poems as well. And I'm curious to know if their brother wrote anything. I don't think he did. I've never heard of people talk about him writing anything. I don't think he was a writer. But I'm actually currently, I picked it up again recently. It's been a week since I picked it up last. But I finally started reading this again. Which is Roulette by Charlotte Bronte. And I wanted to read this first before I read the other ones by the Bronte sisters. And it's slow moving, but I mean, that's a lot of older books are slow moving, unless they're like adventure stories or something. And I do stumble on the French. There's a lot of French quotes because our main character, what's her name? Our main character, Lucy Snow, she goes to live in France when her previous charge has left the home. So she is out of the job as a governess, and she goes to France and ends up in the little town of Roulette, where she ends up getting a job at a school. And there's of the lady Madame Beck is her name, is the woman who runs the school. It's about her time there. And she's very similar to Jane in her personality, you know, very quiet and reserved. Has strong opinions, but knows to keep them to herself, and, you know, she knows her place, as they say. And, like, the last thing I read was that she was involved with a play where she had to be a male character, but she didn't want to dress up like she would play the part. She was okay with playing the part, but she didn't want to wear the costume the guy had for her Monsieur Paul, the guy who was directing the play. She's you know, I'll play your part, but I'm not gonna wear men's clothes, or I'm gonna make my own outfit. And there's also one interesting character, the Dr. John, who shows up and takes care of Madame Beck's children. And I think she's the one with the 2 daughters. That I don't know. Like I said, it's been a week, so I don't remember a lot of stuff. And there's stuff I've forgotten. And he takes care of her kids, and people are a little bit wary of him because he's a young doctor. He's a very young man. So he's inexperienced, as they say, and I think, but the kids her daughters respond well to him, and they really like him. And I think Madame Beck kind of liked him, had a little bit of infatuation with him, along with some of the other teachers as well, because he's young and handsome. Which I'm curious, of course, like, Lucy is just rolling her eyes and is like, it's funny, she's just observing all this and how these people behave, and she's very interested in it, like, and she doesn't entirely, like, she's like that, you know, that she's like a scientist observing the behavior of animals, in a way. That's the vibe I get with her thoughts on everything that's going on in the ins and outs of the school. Now, like I said, my only thing is there's all these French quotes and bits of dialogue that I don't know what they're saying, and I never learned French. And yes, my sister studied French, but she barely remembers it. You know, if it's not your native language, unless you're using it regularly, you're probably not going to remember it as easily unless you use it regularly, or you have a job where you use it. And my sister doesn't, you know, so she doesn't use it as much. So she's a little rusty on it. Like, I asked her to translate something in French, in the book Dorian Gray. I don't know if it was something that they were reading, like a poem or something. And I asked my sister to translate it, and I think she got it wrong. I found out later, because there was a translation. I want to say it was in the back of the book. So that's the only problem with these editions. I like the covers, I think, are cute, but the problem with these editions is that they don't have, like, they have a brief introduction in them, but they don't have a and I guess they do have a, so I guess they do have these what is this? The notes, which I'm wondering if all these notes are, yeah, these notes might be on, yeah, so they do have a little bit. They have notes, and these might actually be the translation of the French words. So I might have to look it up and double check on that. But yeah, maybe. So yeah, actually, it's just a little helpful. It's not as thorough as like these Oxford World Classics or the Penguin ones. It doesn't have as thorough as notes. It doesn't. These editions don't have footnotes or anything like that. But it works though. At least I have something. So yeah, I just wanted to mention I'm reading Roulette and I'll mention the other book I picked up today as well that I started reading again today. Well, actually, I kind of started it yesterday when I got home from work. But, so I'll mention that in a minute. I'll mention that after I finish going through these. So the next Bronte novel I had recently... So the Bronte novels I had purchased I got from Thrift Books are first. We have Anne Bronte's, her other novel. She only wrote 2 novels, I believe. The rest of her work was poetry. The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. Which this is a library copy. It's always interesting to see library copies. Because, or no, not library copies, but used copies that you could probably buy in a college or something if you're studying literature. Let's see, it has this. What does it say? I don't know where this one, I wonder where this one came from. But, this one, The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, is about a woman who shows up in this town with her young boy, her son, and you find out that she is running away from her abusive husband. But when she gets there, she doesn't talk about it to anyone. No one knows about her past. All they know is that she is a single woman with her son, with a little boy. So that causes quite the rumor mill. It gets a lot of people's attention. And that's all I know. Although I can't remember who it was. It might have been I know. It was actually, I was watching, so there's a new book tour I've discovered. I might have mentioned him in my last video. Tristan and the Classics. And he does videos where he does in-depth reviews on classics. And, he basically reads, he reads other stuff, of course, obviously. But he mostly reads classics, or at least mostly talks about classics on his channel. And I remember he made read a quote in this book. I don't remember what the quote exactly is. But where our main character, let me see if I can get her name. Helen Graham. Helen Graham is our female lead, and there's an interesting conversation between her and some of the male and female characters about the difference between raising boys and girls, and how boys back then in this time period, they would just be like, oh, they'll learn by doing. Like, if they do these things, if we let them get away with this thing, they'll learn it's wrong. Well, it's like, it's pointed out that girls are taught differently. Like, they don't do that with girls. Girls are meant to be reserved and just stay in the house and be good little angels, while boys can get away with doing naughty things and having fun and getting away with stuff. Like, just because, boys will be boys. I mean, even today, it's still said, we still have that, that's still a little bit in there. In our society, boys will be boys. We still excuse their behavior. That's why you have things developing called the Me Too, stuff like the Me Too movement developing. Males still get away with stuff today. It's not, it could be like it was back then, but, it could be where women couldn't say anything at all. At least today, women can say something. We can have things like the Me Too movement. Back in this time period, women could not get away with that. Having things like the Me Too movement. We were supposed to sit quietly and obey our husbands. So anyway, this is all I know about this one. But, yeah, I'm, again, when I buy new books, all of a sudden I'm more interested in reading those books than the ones I already have. Which I feel like is a problem, so sometimes that's why I persuade myself to read the books I already have first before I get to new ones. But it is very difficult. Okay, so there's that one. And then we have the last book from Thrift Books I'm going to show you. And then the last 2 books I have are ones I recently purchased from the roast office. So the last one here is Shirley, which is another Charlotte Bronte classic. So I don't, when I find it funny when you see books like these, you say, oh, this is the complete unabridged version. And it's like, I'm looking at, first of all, the size. It's not that, like, compare this to, like, let's say, I mean, this is probably not a good example, but, like, an abridged version of that, compared to saying, oh, this is the complete unabridged version. It's like, if this is the unabridged version, this is probably not that bad. Or a better example is, like, compare this to Les Mis or Count of Monte Cristo. Now, that I can understand why you would want to read an abridged version of either of those two. Because both of those books are over 1,000 pages long. While this one is like, how many pages? 482. Almost 500 pages. But it's not that bad. And the writing is probably not, like, as hard to read. It, it feels a little bit closer to modern writing style. Maybe a little more sophisticated sounding, but, like, more elegant, more eloquent as far as the language goes, but still, I mean, it's a lot closer to modern literature than some of the other books like Count of Monte Cristo. But although I do feel like Count of Monte Cristo is readable, it's just a lot, and it's long. So I'm just going to read the back description. Okay, Charlotte Bronte was a natural storyteller with a gift for creating memorable characters and for evoking atmosphere. Yep, definitely. The novel is set among the cloth mills of the author's native Yorkshire, and she succeeds brilliantly in creating the full drama of the latter part of the Napoleonic Wars, when labor-saving machinery was smashed by desperate unemployed workers. Rich in historical detail, Shirley is a human as well as social novel with a perpetual relevance in its exploration of humanity's efforts to reconcile personal and economic aspirations with social justice and harmony. So as soon as I read that the first couple of times, it kept reminding me of Elizabeth Gaskell, and a lot of her books are that kind of social commentary and the machine age, in workers versus masters, stuff like that. And this felt a little bit like that, which I think they were friends. I think she was friends with the Bronte sisters and their brother Bramwell. So there's that one. Okay, so these last two books were books that I got from Thrift Books the other day. From the roast office the other day. I decided to go. And the sale for March was spring cleaning. In other words, you could buy one, you could get one free. And the books aren't that expensive to begin with. Like the most expensive, again, is like, $4. Unless it's like a special book. And there are some books that have more than, there are certain books that are a little bit more expensive, like, $10 or something like that. But it depends on the book. So, but most of their books are like between $3 and $4, between like or $2 and $4. So, okay, so first we have one that I've heard a lot about, and even Reagan from Peru's Projects read this and really enjoyed it. I think she read it, either that or she just bought it. So this is true crime, which I read Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. I really enjoyed that one. I fell in love with the writing, and it almost had, even though it was a crime drama, it was still really cozy almost. Not cozy as in wholesome, obviously, or not, but cozy as in just comforting in its own dark way, twisted way, if that makes sense. And also took place in the South. I'm a sucker for stories that take place in the South. Okay, so, I got this one, Eric Larson's The Devil in the White City. And I don't think I've read any other Eric Larson books. But this is about an event that took place at the World's Fair where there was a mass murder, I think. Oh, and it takes place in Chicago. So, the World's Fair in Chicago. Bringing Chicago circa 1893 to vivid life, Eric Larson's spellbinding bestseller intertwines the true tale of two men, the brilliant architect behind the legendary 1893 World's Fair, striving to secure America's place in the world, and the cunning serial killer who used the fair to lure his victims to death. Combining meticulous research with nail-biting storytelling, Eric Larson has crafted a narrative with all the wonder of newly discovered history and the thrills of the best fiction. So it's a fictionalized. So actually, here's the receipt. I'll put that over there. So I guess going by the description, it is technically fiction. So it's not a true crime, I guess. It's just based on an actual event. You know, maybe turn into fictionalized version. I think I'll have to look it up. I'm just seeing if it's. I mean, it was in the fiction section at the store because there is the nonfiction, the vault, which is this little room with a door, is called the That's where all the nonfiction goes, and this was not over there, so I don't know if this is considered. I thought it was. I assumed. Excuse me. I have to get some coffee after I'm filming. I assumed this was a true crime, but I guess not. I guess it's actually fiction, but based on fact, which I do like. I think it's cool when there's fictionalized stories based on actual events, which I guess there are a lot of historical fiction novels like that. I mean, like, I really enjoyed the Trader's Wife, which is about Peggy Shippen Arnold. She married Benedict Arnold, who was the traitor in the American Revolution, the infamous traitor. And I really like that. And of course, you know, the play Hamilton, and based on the book. There's also a book about it, which is really huge. And I did put it on my wish list, but it's a huge book. And I keep thinking, you know, like, I tried to read David McCullough's book, and I just could not get into it. I did try, and I got a little, you know, and it was my brother-in-law's book, and so I gave it back to him. David McCullough's John Adams. So, I mean, we do have 1776 by David McCullough, so I could try again with David McCullough and just buy my own copy. And I almost would rather have a paperback copy of his work rather than a hardback. Okay, so I got one more book to show you guys. Next is another type of book that I normally do not get. But, I don't know, I just was inspired to buy it and check it out. It's Ducks Newburyport by Lucy Ellmann. And this was won the Booker Prize in 2019. And again, I'm just going to read the back, the description. Baking a multitude of tartes tatted for local restaurants, an Ohio housewife contemplates her 4 kids, husband, cats, and chickens, also America's ignoble past, and her own regrets. She is surrounded by dead lakes, fake facts, open carry maniacs, and oodles of online advice about survivalism, veil-toss duties, and how to be more like Jane Fonda. But what do you do when you keep stepping on your son's toy tractors? Your life depends on stolen land and broken treaties, and nobody helps you when you get a flat tire on the interstate. Not even the abominable snowman. When are you allowed to start swearing? Or the torrent of consciousness and intoxicating coziness. Ducks Newburyport lays out a whole world for you to tramp around in, by turns frightening and funny, a heart-rendering indictment of America's barbarity and lament for a way we are blundering into environmental disaster. This book is both heresy and a revolution in the novel. So this one kind of reminded me, not the plot itself, but the kind of book it is, reminds me of The Recognitions, which I still haven't picked up lately, especially like with the writing style and everything, where it's pretty big and the writing style is just a little bit like continuous, like stream of consciousness. So I'm a little nervous, and maybe I'm gonna regret this, but I am determined to try different things and to challenge myself in my reading. Okay, so those are, let's see, let me see if I can pick these up and show you guys in a foot. Okay, so let's try it. So first we have, I'm gonna go with Steve Donahue's style, which I don't think I can do this. So first we have Duxbury, Newport. The Devil in the White City. I don't know how he does this, because I can already tell you I'm probably going to fail at this and they're all going to drop. Shirley. Okay, I can do this. Of course, he might have stronger hands than I do. Tenant of Wildfield Hall. Okay. I'm trying to... Okay. Sunlight Ascends. Traitor's Blade. Oh, okay, yeah. I can already tell I'm not doing a good job with them. I'm already the verge of failing. Okay, 2 more books. Let's see if I can grab them without. Okay. Alright. Okay. My first failure about this is I should have had the books I bought from my most recent purchase. Okay, and then we have The Lives of the Caesars by Suetonius. And then, last but not least, The History and Decline of the Fall of the Roman Empire. So, there we are. Not too bad. Okay, I'm done because these are heavy. So, if you guys like this video, be sure to give a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already to be notified when and click the bell icon to be notified when I post new videos. And I will talk to y'all later. Alright, bye!